Hey guys, it's a lovely day and I'm checking out the Step-Thru, or what I would consider kind of a mid-step version of the Juice Bike's CrossCurrent. This has been a really popular model because it balances like a lower price with a little bit of a faster performance and something that's just really capable. Note that it does not normally come with this rack, but I happen to be with the founder of the company here, Tora. How's it going, man?
How's it going?
Welcome to the States. You've been traveling all over the place, haven't you?
I have been. I've been in China for 2 months plus at the factory, so yeah.
I heard you're like at the factory, like you're living it, right?
I live at the factory, yeah.
Well, it results in a really high quality product and one that's polished. This was the first non kind of funky cargo bike that you did.
That's right.
It's a step into like sportier, higher speed.
Yes.
And I think even since I reviewed the high step version of this bike, a few things have been upgraded, maybe like slightly improved. Can you talk about some of those?
Yes. So yeah, there have been a lot of requests for Step-Thru, so we added the Step-Thru. Increased battery capacity, so we added additional battery capacities.
Several optional ones, right?
Several battery capacities, even really big ones.
Like 21 amp hour. Oh my gosh.
I was excited. But it really is. I mean, that is it's exclusive to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we made the packs ourselves. It's actually the same one that's in our cargo bike, but packaged in a different way. So we've been testing it secretly for like 4 years.
Secretly? Oh my gosh. Well, you want to get it right. And so you have the Samsung or LG cells, right? So pretty high quality.
And then the top level ones, the 17.4 and the 21, are using the Panasonic cells.
Panasonic cells, right. Okay.
So, yes.
Do they look like this, or they bump up a little higher?
It bumps up a little bit higher.
A little bit higher.
We'll show you in a minute. Yeah.
And they fit on this frame still.
On the Step-Thru is not fitting on this particular one, but on all of the high steps, it will fit on.
It will fit. What's the largest you can get on the Step-Thru?
10.4.
10.4. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you're still getting potentially good range. Whenever you're going, 28 miles per hour potentially.
Yes. Yeah. It drains. It'll suck down the battery.
Yeah. The wind resistance, right?
Past 26. Yeah, the wind will start to be an effect, and people want the bigger and bigger batteries, so we have it.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the specs here.
Yes.
The high step comes in several different sizes, whereas the Step-Thru comes in this 17.5. It makes sense, a little bit easier to step over.
Right.
That tends to mean, maybe a smaller rider in some cases, kind of a his and hers opportunity. Does it also come in black, or is it red, or what's the?
Red, glossy, that's like our color, and then we have the flat black.
Flat black,
which has been popular as
nice to have a couple colors.
Yes.
I like that you had some disc brakes on here, and these ones they're hydraulic, so you get a little bit more power, and that's something that at a value price point is a neat upgrade.
Yeah, the hydraulic disc brakes. A lot of you say, oh, it's a lower price bike. Oh yeah, disc brakes, but actually the brakes we use are like top of the line. They're very premium, so there's not any skimping on the brakes, and the hydraulic disc brakes the power is amazing. These are really among the top you can get.
The high speed combined with good braking, that's the other piece that's interesting is it's torque sensing, pedal assist, and I was like, oh, TMM4 sensor, and you smirked and you were like, well, tell me about that. What's the deal?
It's like TMM4, but actually it has a cadence sensor as well.
Okay.
So you have torque and cadence. TMM4 is only with torque. The cadence sensor is high definition, so you get in 104 poles per revolution. Most cadence sensor are just 8.
I assume this is a little more expensive. Why did you upgrade to that?
We've been testing every torque sensor there is. We don't make the torque sensor, we buy them from the supplier.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things it has to do. It has to be easy to service. It has to work very well.
Yeah.
It has to perform, has a high performance level, and it has to be reliable. All those things is difficult.
I've tested some of the other bikes, like from Easy Motion, the older ones. I'm talking like the Neo and stuff. And I remember the chain bouncing and kind of activating it. Is this one less likely to do that because it has the cadence?
Exactly. Okay. You're exactly right. I mean,
I try my best.
No, it's exactly right. Over bumps, because it only sends torque, then it's pulling the speed from the motor, and if the motor's going, it says, oh, you're pedaling. Actually, you're not pedaling. You're just saying so the chain bouncing will do it. And then this one is measuring such a high rate that it knows what you're doing. Like when you ride it back to back, the bikes, you'll see it is actually smoother.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm surprised to hear you talking about how sensitive that is, because when I first saw the display, I was like, oh, it's not an LCD. It doesn't look as sophisticated. But then when I started using it, and I like how sleek it is, So, you know, we got our 5 battery ticks up here.
Yeah.
We've got Eco, and then the S is that sport, like high-speed mode.
Right. So everybody says, "Oh, you're using LCDs." Yeah, these things are very reliable. They work, you know, extremely well. We also will be doing a like an upgrade if they want to do, you know, with the additional features. But, you know, the point of the bike is to bring the reliability and the cost, the simplicity.
Yeah.
And this, you know, it
helps you do that.
It helps to do it. This is the smallest one we could get.
What is the price point on this now?
This one's $14.99.
$14.99.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a sweet price.
Right.
And I feel like I've seen these in Sam's shop.
Sure.
You do the dealers, or do you sell direct? What's your deal?
We sell to the dealers and also through online.
Okay. Because that's a, you know, kind of a balance like thing. There are people who don't live by a shop, or maybe you're not in your dealer network, but you're supporting dealers too.
Yes.
So,
well, you know, I think, you know, people are buying things in different ways today.
Yeah.
And some people want to buy at the dealer, and some people want to buy online. Some people will want to buy on Craigslist. So you have to cover it, and we make the bikes, and we do the best job we can to service everyone.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. There's just kind of a random like aside as I'm thinking through this. I weighed the bikes. They're slightly different. Maybe you know, if this one was like 51 pounds.
Yes.
You do have a new model that's even more.
Yes,
we're going to get to that. That's the Air. We're going to do a separate review.
Sure.
But other things that I like about this one, since this is technically a review, we've got a suspension fork, 63 millimeters of travel, hydraulic lockout right here. I would say this is kind of mid-level. I mean, it's not an air fork. It's not as light. But what I was told is with air forks, sometimes you have to fill them up a little more. And this is actually pretty responsive.
Yes.
You know, what can you talk about why you chose that fork?
A lot of it has to do with availability. A lot of parts that we choose are, you know, you really have to make sure you can get the parts, so you're not in like out of stock situation.
Yeah.
Performance level, reliability, and the name is important.
Well, Suntour, I've been seeing more and more from them. I even saw their booth at Interbike.
They're very good.
You know, you've actually traveled around. You also use an 8-fun motor. So do you have any comments on why you choose these specific brands? Again, availability is part of it, but
8-fun they're nailing the price point versus performance. And I know the boss well.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps. You guys are friends, right?
They help us a lot, and you know, we do some tricky stuff with this one that I think a lot of people don't do. You know, we run them at a fairly quick speed.
You do. Well, and 350 watt nominal up to 650.
Yeah, but we overboost it
on
with the torque sensor. We really push it like a little bit, you know, and we only do it for like a few seconds. There's a lot of software stuff that we do. So when you ride this bike, it goes really fast, but it's doing that in a way not to destroy the bike.
Sure. Well, and speaking of, so again, we're trying to hit that value price point, but still have that performance, like with the brakes. I noticed that some of the cables are sort of partially routed, but a lot of them are tacked on. I suppose that way you don't compromise the strength of the frame, but you know. No,
this is a controversial thing, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Because why not internally route them? They'd be prettier. Right.
Well, you want to make these things so that you can work on them.
Serviceable.
It really is just 100% about serviceability.
Okay.
We optimize around using the hydraulic disc brakes. It's kind of hard to take them apart and feed them through.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a mechanic, they love this bike because you can get to any part.
Yeah.
But people will say, "Oh, yeah, I want to put the wires on the inside," and it actually can do that. It has the.
Does it have the routing?
Yes,
like internal.
It's ready to do that. But I tell you, for the moment, don't do that.
Okay. Well, and back up here to these cables. This is actually an upgrade right here. These are threaded, and then they usually a little bit more water resistant.
Yes. Yeah, it has like O-ring, kind of help seal the water out, because these things, you know, they're outdoors, and you know, you can't use the stuff that you use in the house. So you know, we try to upgrade these parts.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other features here. I was looking at the battery pack, and I remember down here you've got a USB port, and there's a charging interface.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen a very similar design of this battery, where now they're moving the USB port up here and stuff like that. So is that maybe in the future?
Well, this particular bike was on a demo tour, so it's been in the demo vans, and just, you know, so it had the you know, the pack is not it's
not the latest and
greatest. It's not the latest and the greatest.
Still works, but you know, that's one area when you're trying to plug in, it's hard to get down there.
The charge ports on all of the bikes moving forward are on the side. You know, we don't make this particular case. We make another one that fits this one, but the charge port we have already improved. So we don't have really control over it. Any bike you see like with this type of style is made by one of 3 companies, and you just don't have a control over it. So we have
what do they call this? Okay, because there's like the shark pack and the dolphin pack. What do they call this one? What's the code?
这个叫剑鱼电池.
What language are you speaking?
Chinese.
Chinese. What other languages do you speak, man?
I speak Chinese and a little Taiwanese, English.
Sweet.
I learned a little bit German.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived in Germany for 2 years. So.
Impressive, impressive. What your background? It seems like you must have some mechanical background or whatnot. Can you tell me about it?
I'm a mechanical and aerospace engineer.
Okay,
so
sweet.
At Princeton, I studied that, and then I did sports, the world-class level, Olympics, and all that stuff. So I was in Europe a lot.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
You've been all over.
I've been all over, so...
Glad I caught you.
Thank you.
Here in the stateside. Well, and maybe in the future we'll see like an electric spaceship with that aerospace engineer. Not quite?
Yeah, no.
Not quite.
You gotta nail this one.
That's right. We're still working on it. So let me, I'm going to take a minute and just hit some more of the specs that I've noticed. 700C wheel diameter, a little bit larger, a little more efficient, 700 by 45. So this is something I comment on a lot of times for comfort. You want to balance range and efficiency with comfort. So I like that you've got the suspension fork. A lot of times I'm talking about seat post suspension as an option. I do like your saddle. You've got like the gel.
It's we put the high-end stuff on there.
Pro Max seat post. And you were saying 27.2, that's the diameter of the seat post. So you can upgrade that yourself if you want to. Thanks for your help. Yeah, I was going to hop on in a minute. And then back here, we've got Shimano Alivio. Why'd you choose that versus Tourney or versus Acera?
In some of the other bikes we use that, the Alivio is just the value and the performance is really there before you as you go with these things, the price kind of rise like that with performance, and then when you want to get higher performance, you really, the price really cranks up.
What changes? I mean, at the end of the day, a consumer's like, well, it's metal, there's a chain. Like, why? Is it tighter at the higher levels, or what's the more reliable?
Is just more crisp.
Crisp.
The suppliers or Shimano and SRAM, they kind of put the better shifter cables, the levers, and
is that easier then?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're hard to pull. I've noticed on.
Sometimes they, some higher end ones actually harder to use, but they have like higher end features for like mountain biking.
Sure.
And stuff
Well,
like
hey,
that.
That's like the Shadow Plus or whatever with the one-way.
Yes.
Okay, so coming back here, I noticed that you have the trigger. I like this. You can pull back.
Yep. Push.
Or you can push, right? That's kind of cool.
No, that's awesome. I think that to put that in to put that feature in the price, in the price point of this that this type of gear train is targeting is awesome. I mean, you'd really, it's just having multiple options to do different things.
Yeah, it's comfortable. Yeah, I mean, I shift gears and stuff, and I kind of like to push or pull. There are different times.
Yes.
I believe
these. You have gloves on.
Well, speaking of that, when you have gloves on, these are adjustable reach levers, aren't they?
Yes.
So you can bring it in if you're someone with smaller hands, and for the Step-Thru, that might be very relevant.
Yes.
So I think we've covered it. How much are these racks? Because it seems like you custom fit it for this.
Yeah, we basically, we added the boss for the mounting points for the rack, and we kind of missed that on some of our earlier models because of the torque sensor have some issues and this and that. But we got them on there, and now we're just showing that racks can work on the bike, and we have now we stock some racks that we.
Okay, so check out the site. What is your website?
JuiceBikes.com.
Juice Bikes, because you changed from Juice Riders. Look at your shirt, dude. What the heck?
Well, we were riders, and we were riders and then suddenly we become, more. We're like more about bikes, and we're just doing, because we did packs and we did kits and things like that. Now we're doing bikes, and that has been a bigger and bigger part of the business. That part of the business is booming for all of the electric bikes.
It's growing, isn't it? Yeah.
Bikes, we're doing bikes, and we juiced, and people know, and we got.
I remember the day that Tora was like, "Court, can you change the website?" And I was like, "Man, that's a lot of URLs." And he was like, "Please." And I was like, "Okay, we'll make it work for you. We'll get it."
Now it will jump automatically.
Juice Bikes, we're all good. The one thing that I don't see on the Step-Thru is the water bottle cage bosses. They just wouldn't fit. Because you have them, don't you have them on the high step?
Well, we could put them on there, but then your water bottle wouldn't fit.
Well, and right here you'd be kicking it. So this it's not really a big problem. I understand the decision, but I need to call it out. We got the rack, and you could put a bottle on that maybe. Yeah. What, are you teasing me now? You're like, oh, come on, Court. We've got the saddle rail adapters sometimes, or frankly, how do you see most people using this, or who's the customer so far?
Well, this type of bike just, we didn't realize that people were commuting on the bike, you know, they're using like almost there's so many people commute. You're just like, you can't believe, like, it really is happening. Like, you know, electric bike is like, oh, it's going to be car replacement. It really is. People are really using these bikes to go to work and to do whatever.
Yeah, and this is a little bit lighter, maybe easier to carry upstairs and stuff, especially when you take the battery pack off.
Yes,
the frame is pretty stiff, so it's more of a younger performance model.
It's a younger, and
the price
looks
is right.
like a bike. You know, our cargo bikes are the ultimate in like car replacement, but it looks, they still want to grab onto something they recognize. You know, and I think this bike was really like targeting that, you know.
Well, I think I want to grab onto it and take a little ride. Is there anything else you want to call out before I get out there? Just any special, just little quick comments?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, we
covered it?
Yeah, I think you covered it. You know, the ride, the performance is going to be, when you try it, you're like, wow. Everybody's just like, wow. Even when they try other bikes or mid-drive systems like that, it's just the way it's tuned. It's very athletic.
So there's the marketing pitch right there. The other thing you sell is a throttle. It's like $100, and there's like an LCD upgrade, and they can tone down the top speed to 20 miles per hour for people who don't want the speed pedelec, like in Canada or Australia. There's certain places. So that's kind of a cool feature.
Right.
I'm gonna see what we can do on this thing. So we come up here to the display panel, we press the power button, we see it come to life here. We're on, so Eco's the easiest, and then Speed or Sport, you can jump right to it with that button. That's pretty cool, like straight up.
Between the two, and the pitch is, not even the pitch, it's just reality is, maybe you're just cruising along, right? At 3, and then suddenly, you know, a guy is like, passes you, you're like, oh man, I gotta go. So you jump into Sport, you're going past him, and then, you know, settle back down, and then let them pass. You know that they know you have reduced your speed, so when they pass, they don't have the thrill of passing you.
This is cool.
It's optimized.
Oh, quick question. So one of the things I've been complaining about a lot lately is that the kickstand, when it's mid-mounted, you know, collides
it does.
versus rear. Did you do that because their disc brake was too crowded, or?
It's you know, this is a bicycle. This is the one thing that you know, hundreds of years of bicycle technology, they haven't figured this one out.
The kickstands are still evolving, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hop on and pedal around. I like the locking grips. Again, there are a lot of touch points on this that are kind of upgraded. I'm just gonna ride down and back and see you in a sec. Oh yeah. So I'm in 2 right now. Pretty quiet. Little bit of a delayed stop on this. I've noticed that with most of the TMM4 sensors. I think it doesn't want to be too quick to stop. They want it to feel smooth. So I'm going to jump up to Sport. Let's see here. Turn the corner. Sport. Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely noticed a big boost in it just kind of zippiness. I tested this bike before and I was a little bit like, does it really reach 28? You don't have the display unless you order that telling you, but I did clock it, and yeah, it can go pretty fast. It's just kind of it works with you, especially in this pedal assist mode versus sometimes throttle. You're like, whoa, you know, you have to pedal. It's a little bit more active of a ride. Try to do some trigger shifting here. Really smooth on the brakes. Feeling pretty nice. Go see if we can talk to Tora again. Pretty stable, you know, even just kind of no hands. Okay, just finished up, had a nice time riding around. A question I've always had about sort of this torque sensor design. I noticed that when I'm pedaling and then when I stop, there's a little bit more of a delay, kind of ramps down slower. Why?
Well, you know, we try to like take out all of those like points where you're like, oh, the motor's assisting me. Oh, the motor's like, you know, we try to like adjust the throttle profile. That's one of the things we do. I mean, we go to the supplier and sit down with the engineer and say, man, you know, it doesn't feel good this point, that point, and then he was like, oh, okay, and then like an hour later he comes back, boom, runs the program, run it again and say, oh, but now it's too, like, you know, it doesn't feel powerful enough. So he's like, okay, so it takes it's a process. It can take 3 days.
Okay.
You know, so yeah.
I've always explained it like, you know, if it cut out immediately, like you're saying, you would notice, like, whoa, it's gone.
Yes.
And maybe sometimes you're easing off a little bit, but you're still pedaling, and you don't want this like wavy feeling. So consistency.
Yes.
Is that the
Bike-like. Bike-like. This is the target.
It is pretty bike-like.
It's to not be like a motorcycle. If you want a motorcycle, you can get one. You know, just to be honest, this is like bike-like experience. People who are buying this bike, you know, they ride the other ones and they look online, or they go to the shops and they see, they're like, they understand when you ride it, it's just like a better bike.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this whole electric bike thing is going. A certain segment of it is it's just a better bike.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me all the background and kind of the behind the scenes on this.
Yes.
People appreciate it. It's been a popular bike.
Yeah.
That is the Juice CrossCurrent. This was sort of a second review. I did one with Sam at his shop, but you know, I didn't have access to you at that time, and the Step-Thru wasn't available. So you know, keep up the great work, Tora, and we'll see you next time for the full write-up on this, the specs, measurements, and everything. I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com, and as always, ride safe.